Welcome back. This time we're going to be talking about the sample color node. This is a node which will get from the world around it a color value. And it does that using a tiny camera. It's actually a 4x4 pixel camera. It takes a picture of the world and then gets the average color on that 4x4 pixel camera. This has come up quite a lot recently in Discord due to confusion about how it works, and so I wanted to provide a complete overview, start to finish, about how it worked, including some ways and things to sort of watch out for, and some other things you might actually use it for as well. It's a strange node that sometimes just randomly appears in your flow. You're like, I'm building this thing, and then suddenly, oh, you need the sample color node. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the sample color node works, how to get it set up, and then what you might do with it. Hopping over here in Smooth POV, first of all, we're going to have to get that node in the world. There's a lot of stuff behind me, but we'll get there in just a moment. So I'm going to open up the node browser and I'm going to go to rendering. And once we're inside rendering, it's sample color right here. When we spawn this in the world, you'll see there's a lot of inputs and quite a few outputs as well too. So we'll go over the inputs and then the outputs, and then we'll get it hooked up. So the top one's very easy, sample. This just says, hey, I'm going to go ahead and start the process to sample the color. The next one here is point. Now this by default is global, so if I put in 000 here for the point, it would start my camera at the 000 or origin of the world, which for this world is like somewhere down there in the floor. I don't really know why, it just is. Next is the direction. Now a direction is the direction that the camera should look in. You can think of it like a laser. Many of these nodes that have the sort of point and direction are like a laser. So for right now, if I were to point it at 0, 0, 1, it would point it at the forward direction of the world, which again is vaguely in this direction. I talk a lot about directions in a video I recorded recently called slot direction nodes, and that's also something which we might be using here. So I'll just keep that in mind. So if you want to learn more about slot directions, please check a video in the video description that goes about them. We make a very, very, very basic vehicle in that video to talk about the slot direction nodes. We'll be using one here, but in a little bit of a strange way due to the way that the sample color node works. Next up is a reference. When you input a reference, weird stuff happens, which is that once you put a reference in here, it will convert the point and the direction to the local coordinates of this reference slot. What it actually does is it takes this reference slot and uses it to turn whatever you put into these two values into a global coordinate space. And so it means you should put local stuff in here if you put a value into reference. More on that one in just a moment. Next up are the two last remaining ones, which are near and far clip. Those are the clipping planes of a camera. So for those unaware, a camera starts at a certain point, that's called its near clipping plane, and it ends at a point, that's its far clipping plane. So anything below that clipping plane, the near clip, it can't see, and anything past that clipping plane, it also can't see. I haven't had a need to change those with the use cases of sample color that I've been doing, but if you want to, then go right ahead. You might need to do sort of near clipping if it's like inside something. So we use near clipping a lot to remove hair or features from someone's face. That could also happen if you're, I don't know, sample coloring out between their eyes. You might need to sort of put a bit of near clipping on there. Otherwise, you can just leave it as is. So that's the inputs. Now moving on to the outputs. The outputs, there are actually two impulses here, and that's because it's a two-step sort of process when it comes out. The first one is on sample start. This is when the node starts sampling. This is when it's spawning the camera, it's positioning it, and then the next one is on sampled, and that's when you actually get a piece of data from the last one, which is the sampled color. Like with many nodes that have impulses and a data value out, this value here only lasts for the length of one update cycle. So make sure you use it or lose it, which is what I always say. So make sure that you process this value coming out and do whatever you want with it before you before the impulse is up. Most people here will write it. There isn't actually a need to write it. You can use it if you can use it all within one impulse. You don't need to write it. Do keep that one in mind. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll be writing it, but for some other tools and techniques that I'll show off at the end, you can do all sorts of it. I'll actually also be showing off a tool that someone made that does a web request when you use the sample color node on a tooltip. So let's now get this working. To get this working, we're going to go ahead and need to create a point that we want to sort of put something in front of it to sample the color from. Easiest way to do this is to go ahead, grab your developer tooltip, and then go to create new empty object here. That'll create an object which is facing in this direction. It defaults to the sort of direction that you're facing. And we'll want to sample a color for along this blue direction, which is this object's forward direction. So we can plug this into our node. Now, We're going to do it in a little bit of a weird way, and that's because of the way that the slot direction nodes work. So I'm going to go ahead and take this empty object, spawn it in the world of secondary and the logic step here, but I'm not going to, I repeat, I'm not going to plug it into the ref here. The reason behind this is because if I plug this into the ref and then I use the node that I'm about to use, which is forward, then weird stuff happens and you'll get like a double local to global operation on that because the slot direction nodes are already global. So we're trying to stay directly in global coordinate space here. So we'll just be using global nodes and plugging those into point and direction. You can do different things there if you'd like, particularly if you're specifying the direction manually, as in you've done some maths for it and you know which coordinate space you're in, then go for it. But if you're just following along and you just want to make a laser that samples colors, I advise you do it in this way simply for getting it right first time and not being frustrated by it. I had to go read the code of this node and see what was happening, and that was what was causing a problem. Last take of this video was I was double applying a local to global translation using this forward node. If that was complete gobbledygook to you, just follow along with what I'm doing and experiment and you'll see what's going on here. So we're going to use the forward node here. This will represent the forward direction in global space of this empty object. So we can put this in, and then we put this into the direction field. And then all we need is the global coordinate of this slot itself, so we can use global transform for that. In this case, because this is parented to the root of the world, you could also use the position here, but this position becomes local the moment that this empty object is parented to anything, which can lead to some complications when you're doing things like tools or stuff like that. So just global transform and then global position into position. We'll also get rid of this simply because the laser, if you like, from it's actually a camera, but you know what I mean, if the laser coming out of this empty object might hit that ribbon. Next, we just need to write the result of this. So we're going to go to variables, storage, value register, color. And with value register color, then we just need a singular write node, which is in actions write. You can plug in onSampled, the color node, and then this, and then pull this out and push secondary. And now we've got a display for the color. Now we just need to keep an eye on where this is. I'm actually going to move it back so it's more in line with the logic. So that just means I'll know where it is when I do this, because I also need to get rid of the gizmos, because again, the camera will see those if we're not careful. You could put near clip on those to make sure it doesn't see them, but hey, just clearing them is better. Now we can start talking about what's behind me. So behind me are a bunch of colors arranged in various formats. We've got a bunch of quads. So if we go ahead for this red quad here, put it sort of in front of where that line is, hit pulse, we get red. Fantastic. So I'm going to move that one to the back. We'll bring another one in, and we get blue. Here's blue. We actually got a little bit of green there as well. A good thing to note about this node is it does it based on the camera as well in the world, the lighting settings in the world, right? So if you point it at something that's in shade, it's going to be darker than the actual texture is. It's not sampling the color of the texture, it's sampling the color of the environment. We just happen to be getting away with it because these quads here are using unlit materials, but that's also why a little bit of green is slipping in. Maybe there is a pixel or two here that isn't as blue as it can be due to the environment. As it's a 4x4 camera, maybe a bit of that camera is looking at the wall here, and therefore the average color across gets a little bit of that green color. Just to show a little bit more of a complicated color, this uses, two components rather than just one. There you go. We'll see we get 1 and then 0.55 on the blue axis there. Now, I've had comments about it not working with 360 pictures. So here's a 360 video picture. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It was quite a while ago, but we'll put that in front of here. And we'll hit pulse, and we're getting some color that we weren't getting there before, but it's almost difficult to see what we're getting there. I think we're getting the stage area, which is a sort of off-white color. If we were to rotate that back a little bit, we'd get some other color. That looks like the stage again as well. But there you go, it's working from that as we're getting a different color. I also had a comment about skyboxes. So here's a very, very orange skybox. So we'll put that in front as well. And then you'll see we're getting oranges, and if I rotate this a bit, we'll get slightly different. That's more sort of a burnt orange. And there you go. So it's sampling from that. I then also had a comment about, hey, it doesn't work with videos. So here is a video. In this case, it's a video from VR with Jasmine, which is a great channel. She recently published a video about her favorite Neos VR worlds. So I will go ahead, skip in just a little bit. I want to get past Timing Gears is a great map, but I want to get past it just so we can get to something bright. I said bright. There we go, that's nice and bright. So if we hit pulse here, we should see that the colors keep changing as she's flying around this world. I believe this is O'Neo Cylinder. So this is a expansive map with gravity in various different environments. So there you go, you can see that's working with the video as well. So I haven't seen anything that this can't work on. Oh, by the way, there'll be a link to Jasmine's video in the video description. I was watching it the other day and wanted to provide a video that I could sample that wouldn't have any issues. I was using sort of learning colors by one of the children's channels on YouTube, but they are very big and I was worried they were going to copyright strike me because I promoted their video, but there we go. Anyway, that'll be in the video description. So I had seen comments that it wasn't possible to sample colors from everything. Hey, it is totally possible to sample colors from pretty much everything. We did the quads, we did the video, we did a 360 photo, we did a 360 skybox. If I move everything out of the way, we can also sample from that wall. It just gets a sort of gray color though. Moving on, I've got this little thing here, which should help people out. Bring that down, I just fell off my little table. This uses a node pack or 3D pack, I believe the system's called, by Engeli. I don't know if it's the more up-to-date version, but I use it instead of blueprints in some cases just to sort of make logics portable. In this case, it makes the whole setup portable. You can find this inside my public folder under logics, and then it'll just be there, sample color tester, and you can take a look at it. Just hit this button and it'll unpack the logics. Additionally, it's got this little blue arrow here. That's the direction that the color will be sampling. So if I go ahead and grab this pink thing again, chuck it in front of there, you'll see here we get pink. The arrow is positioned a little bit lower than the point that we come out. We actually shoot our camera a little bit above that, and just so we don't get that that blue arrow there. But that's just a visual reminder of how I'm doing it and avoiding that tricky reference one there. Moving on to what you might want to use this tool with. So I thought I'd cover this because it's a little bit of a weird tool node. I didn't really know if there would be a way for me to use it or a reason for me to use it. A friend of mine, the name of Erin, they actually found a way to use it. So this is a sampling color tooltip, which will actually sample whatever's that you point the tooltip at, but it also uses a web request to figure out the name of that color. So each color has a name. There's various naming schemes, Pantone colors, paint colors. You can go paint your room like oceanic breeze or whatever, but this tool will do the equivalent of that with anything you point it at. So I can point it at this incredibly blue square and it says canary. This is canary, and then it also provides the red, green, and blue values for that. Over there, rose. Let's see what color the wall over there is. Oh, that's taupe. What about the darker part of the wall? That's onyx. Great. Let's go outside, see what more colors we can get. Let me see if we can get one of those brightly colored windows over there. Ship Cove, blue jeans, Havelock blue, black coral, trout, Baltic Sea. What about some of those rocks? Cocoa brown, Luxor gold. That would have been a bit of the spawn ring there. Anyway, that's a really cool tool. Another one which I did more recently. I don't know if I've got it actually. I will just look quickly. I don't have it, but another one that I did that's somewhere is I've got a tool which will give me the luminosity value of whatever's in front of me using that sample color node. That's useful for some scientific applications. We needed to check the luminosity of an environment, and so we did that using the sample color node. There you go, that's the sample color node. Working with as many things as I could think of, and a couple of reasons why you might use it, and some things to watch out for. If you have any further questions about the sample color node, do let me know in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Do check the links in the video description. Got some related videos. That video via Jasmine. There'll also be a link to Erin's public folder where you can find that color sampling tip. Let me know what color your avatar is using that tip. I think Erin sampled themselves and got like wet feet or something at one point, or is it like potato feet? I can't remember. It was funny. Anyway, take a look at your avatar. Let us know what the name of that color is, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.